Hello, my name is Emily Rubio, and today we're going to talk about measures of spread and graphs of different distributions. For measures of spread, we have different ways to measure how far the distribution goes, and one of those ways is a quartile, and it's a data partition. There's Q1, M, and Q3. Q1 is the median of the first half of the distribution, M is the median of the whole distribution, and Q3 is the median of the second half. And when we see it, we'll see it later in a box plot form. Using that, we can find interquartile range, which just means that it's the distance between Q1 and Q3. It's the range that the quartiles go. We also have percentage, the percentage value of an observation falling at or below it. One example of this would be, say 78% of students scored lower or just as low as Daniel on the test. Then that means that Daniel is in the 78th percentile. We also have standard deviation. It measures spread by how far the observations are from the mean. It's also indicated by the variable s. And this, I like to think of it as almost like a difference between the different measures in the distribution. Okay, so for the graphs, I have an example. We took 10 different people's heights in inches. So we have 64, 65, 65, 66, 67, 67, 67, 68, 70, and 72. And with those, we graphed it in a histogram form where we took certain classes and there were different amounts of people within those classes. We also have a dot plot, and you can see that under each and every one of the heights, we have a dot representing a person with that height, and it kind of shows us just how far it goes. Another way is a stem plot, and with the stem plot you have your first digit here. It's usually in the tens, it could be in the hundreds or farther, of just listing them in a simpler way. And the second are the ones digits. So we see that we have 64, 65, 65, so we have 64, 65, 65, for example. Okay, and another one is the frequency distribution table. Now when we talk about the frequency distribution table, it's just the frequency that these different measures happen. And we have different class sizes. So in the class size 64 through 65, we have 3, because 3 people have the height between 64 and 65. And then you find your relative frequency, which is the percentage of everybody. So out of 10, 3 out of 10 is 30%. And then you have your cumulative frequency, which is as you go along, just adding more on. And then your relative cumulative frequency, which is adding more on percentage-wise. And when you have this, it makes it really easy to graph your ogive, and that just shows the different percentages along with the height. And we also have a box plot that we talked about earlier when we were talking about the different quartiles. You need your minimum, which in this case is 64, your Q1, which in this case is 65, your median, in this case is 67, it's the medium, and your Q3, which in this case is a 68, and your maximum, 72. And then when we show it here, we have your box in the middle, which would be your 2 quartiles, your Q1 and your Q3, and then in the middle you have your median, and then you have your minimum and your maximum. And those are graphs, and that's how you graph measures of spread.